Okay, everybody, welcome to our first Echoes and Visions reading event of the semester. So tonight we have our wonderful good friend Sista Big, who's been around Wor-Wic a few times. She did a poetry workshop for us at the last art showcase. She's a Pocomoke City councilwoman, and she's published 4 books of poetry. And she is, I would say, a spoken word artist, more so than a poet, because she very much performs her work. So we're grateful to have her here tonight, and I'll turn it over to Sista Big.
How's everybody feeling? Good. How's everybody feeling? Good. How's everybody feeling? Good. Yeah, sometimes I know on that first one, people say something different, and I heard good, then great. So I did my job, right? So thank you. My name is Sharnell. I am professionally known as Sista Big. I am from Pocomoke City, Maryland. As was already mentioned, I also serve as councilwoman in Pocomoke City for District 3. I've been doing poetry since I was maybe about 8 or 9 years old. I've always been a reader and a writer. Used to be in 4-H as a kid. I used to do like competitive public speaking. So all of that combined into one kind of made me who I am right now. I always get awful nervous when I start to speak. I don't know why. I wanted this to be special. I wanted this reading to be special. It's so funny that you call me a spoken word artist. I remember when I started writing as a kid, I used to always hate when people call me a spoken word artist. So I'm like, I'm a poet, but it very much became an art to me. So now it's kind of like when I hear it, I'm like, oh, I am. Just to get into the collection I have for you tonight, I mentioned to a friend I didn't want to do any Black pain poetry. This is the 100-year celebration of Black History Month, right? So in celebration, we are not sorrowful. Sure, we remember, but we don't dwell on. So Black history's 100-year journey and poetry are directly correlated because poetry has been the witness and the voice of the Black experience. Poetry has been one of the most consistent ways the Black person has recorded, protected, and advanced. Poetry responds faster than a textbook. I thought that was interesting. As much as we focus on reading our text and reading things like that, but when you hear something, that word of mouth, that poetry, that rap song, that country song, that whatever you hear, it naturally hits your heart. And you remember those things. You remember that tune you heard. You remember that rhyme you heard. Poetry is impactful. So my collection tonight will focus on historical archival. It will focus on affirmation poetry. It'll focus on identity and legacy and sovereignty and reigning supreme. I'm gonna just jump right in. I'm the type of person and the type of poet, please talk back to me. If you're feeling it, let me know. If you're enjoying it, let me know. And if I ask a question very much, please talk back to me. I don't mind that. It kind of fuels my fire. Everyone, all right, everyone okay before we get going? All right. So this very first piece is called From Roots to Roots. I actually wrote this for Bennett High for their Black Excellence Club. So we did a workshop and they wanted to talk about the beginning and then carrying through. So from routes to roots. We didn't arrive empty, no. We arrived carrying drumbeat memory wrapped in the ribcage, salt still talking in our blood. They charted us as cargo, numbers where names should have lived, but even the oceans couldn't wash away. The way our tongues remembered rhythm, boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, we been, boom, boom, not broken, boom, boom, turn survival, boom, boom, into ceremony, boom, boom, turn raps into Sunday dinners. We turn pain into praise songs. They knew how to rise. Every route tried to rename us. Every field tried to block, every project turned to prison, but roots keep whispering. You are royal soil. You hear it when the bass lines sound like heartbeats. You protest chant rhymes on purpose. We are rooted in this thing now. We are not lost, but we are found. We are mapped by memory. We are every step forward. We are a footnote to survival. We are everlasting from routes to roots. We are blooming anyway on foot from routes to roots. Thank you. So when I say historical archival, that's our beginning. That's where we started at. It doesn't mean we're we're gonna be there at the end either. It's just our foundation. It's literally our root. It's where we started at. It's where we know we have come from. It is a struggle we've seen and we have overcome. It's not what we're gonna focus on all the time. It's good to know and keep in the back of our head during these times that history is moving forward. And when we're moving forward with our history, sometimes we have to affirm ourselves because we are this historical thing, because we are this rooted thing. Sometimes we forget what our identity is. We kind of lose ourselves in who we are. So my next piece leads us to knowing just who we be. Excuse my grammar. This piece is called Remix and Ode to My Black. When I think of odes, I think of love. I think of adoration. I think of, oh, I just want to tell you how much you feel to me, how much you mean to me, how much you make me warm on the inside. And I thought this poem is an ode to my black, my brownness. This poem is for my black. These lines are not for the bland and mild. We are extra sauce because after all, we got the drip, baby. This is for black girls with big voices and sparkly fingertips, for black boys who bop to their own beat with trimmed hairlines and wool-like energies, which be like antennas that reach the skies. This is an ode to you. For names that feature bravado in their enunciation, my name is Sharnell and command respect. This is a poem for celebrations of our mama and our aunties and our cousins and our fathers and our uncle brothers and everything about you that reminds us of home. We celebrate. We meditate in your atmosphere. We revel in your divinity. We are their dream. We are the dream. This is an ode to my black and its power. It towers poetically. It ebbs and flows naturally. It is intoxicating. This poem is for my black. It is in my honor to represent this skin, this double caramel, pecan tan, triple chocolate laid underneath golden sun. This is an ode to my black. It don't crack. This poem is for my black. Thank you. You see where your identity lies. It doesn't have to be yesterday. It can be today. Yesterday I was beaten down a little bit. I wasn't feeling it. I just wanted to lay around and look, ugly. But today I woke up and I knew I had a job to do. So I began to muster up the strength. I finally took me a shower. I finally turned on a little music. I found my identity in the music. So then that beat kind of carried on into my system. I began to get dressed. I began to feel good. I got my Maya Angelou on tonight. You feel me? I put my sparkle on. I put my gold on and I began to feel good. I wanted to show you just how much my black means to me. And when you learn those things, that becomes your legacy, correct? Talk to me. That returns your legacy. You begin to learn about accountability. You begin to learn about family even more so. You begin to learn about growth a little bit because you've got your identity now. So there's always got to be something in there to kick you around a little bit, right? You can't always go straight to the top. You learn about growth and you learn about accountability. And this piece is called Why I Still Blow the Horn on 667. this naturally was a poem I threw in the end. And I felt like all the poems I had at the time when I was building this, I kind of needed a little softness. I needed family. And there comes that legacy. I had left my family out of it. So I began like looking through the pieces. I'm like, where is my family? Where can I start and show you how they built me? And in this piece, I talk about my great aunt and my great uncle. And they raised me from 9th grade on to graduating high school. They were, she was my grandmother's sister. And she was a little old lady, small, but her voice was big and her power was strong. And what she said, she meant. And she cussed you out from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. That was my Aunt Belle. I remember my Aunt Belle told me one summer before I were down, if you keep yourself on the straight path, I'll fight for you. If you mess up, you gotta fend for yourself. A warning sign divinely sent, sticking to the credo. It's natural to always want Tyson in your corner, but I had my Aunt Zola Bell. As far as I was concerned, they were one in the same. My auntie was a gardener. She was full on tilling, soil mixing, hands buried into dirt, priding pretty pink flowers. She'd get down on her knees and speak life into the soon-to-eat butter beans and string beans too. My Uncle JT, he was a quiet man, coming alive with long neck and hand, with the hacking of fish heads. He was precise. He was a legend. Everyone knew his celebrity. I find myself now traveling 667 for work. If you from here, you know 667 is that little road right there down there by Cisco. Right in that little crook, you can get to Crisfield, you can get to Marion, you can get to Shelltown, you can get a couple other places back there if you know where you're going, or you could get lost. You feel me? I find myself traveling 667 for work now. I used to turn off before I reached them for fear a walk of sadness may override. And now I courageously pass by the still white and green trim double wide that housed a very special couple and emphatically toot my horn and oh, a one, a two to the Donses who would wave energetically or throw up their head from their throats. Such a warming embrace while I still blow the horn on 667. Thank you. I feel like are any of you write poetry? No. Why not?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. No. So do you enjoy are you out here for a class? Do you enjoy poetry or a little bit of both?
Looking to get more into it.
Looking to get more into it. Okay. So I always wonder, like, when people, you know me, I've always loved poetry. Even like from a little kid, Maya Angelou, you know, you always learn about her first in school, and then you learn Langston Hughes and all that. So I always loved the soft poetry of certain poets. But I've always been one to write. I don't normally write that way. But I thought in learning who you are and in learning about your legacy and in learning about accountability, you can learn those things, but what happens now? Do you allow the learned thing to protect you, or do you, fall back into the deep end? And this is a protection poem. It is title covered. It is some of my new material, so you have to let me know if you like it or not. Yeah. I'm wrapped in my people's prayers, in hands that learn to heal while hurting, with ancestors walking softly beside me. Their love is a calm around my name, Sharnell. I move protected. Sharnell is cemented by memory, by rhythm, by a history that knows how to hold in an ongoing relationship that continues to mold. I am guarded by quiet mornings, by elders' laughters. They are slow and sure. Nothing reaches me that's unblessed. I'm gonna repeat that again. Nothing reaches me that is unblessed. Meaning those prayers from my ancestors before have kept me covered and kept me protected so far. I am kept by what came before. I am a tenderness passed down like a song you just cannot forget. Even my rest is watched over. My breath knows the way home. Sista Big is purely covered. Didn't that make you feel warm? It made you feel like someone knew you, regardless of if you didn't even know yourself in the last 10 minutes. That prayer, that love from before has kept you nurtured, it's kept you warm, it's kept you strong when you even weren't even conscious right at the moment. I'm sleeping and I'm snoring, and these folks still have my mind in their hands. They still have their hearts connected to mine. They still have their hands woven into mine. How special is that to be covered? Thank you. As you are covered and as you are protected, you return because now you have that ancestral thing, you have that ancestral bond, and now you have a little recognition because now you've been covered and you know that you know those roots from before, and you know that identity that you had with your old to yourself, the love you had for yourself. You kind of now have that recognition. So I know who I am a little bit. So what comes with that is you are having a collective history moment. Now you're letting people know, hey, I know who I am. I know I am this historical being. I know my prowess. I know my power. I know who I am. And I know we've been these things before, regardless of how many times you try to tell me I'm not. We've been poems. I've been a poem way before I ever knew. I've been a special thing way before I ever knew. You all have been special beings way before you ever knew. And I've always known I've been a poem. So I'm leading into we've been poems. This is another new piece. Before February had a name, we were already speaking. And stanzas scratched on brick walls and hymns hung low. I'm gonna lay down my burdens down by the riverside. We've been poems. 100 years ain't just time. It is breath held between pages. It is ink pressed down hard because erasers stay busy with our lives. They tried to footnote us, but we responded with rhythm. I'm gonna lay down my burdens down by the riverside. Langston taught the river to remember our names, and Gwendolyn folded whole blocks into line breaks. Amiri lit matches with syllables and called it instruction. See, when history shut its mouth, poetry opened its throat. Down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Black History Month ain't a museum. It's a mic check. It's a call and response still echoing through church basements and classrooms and barber shops where stories season themselves into survival. You know, every poem is a receipt and I need my money. Every metaphor and evidence, every I in a Black poem carries a we behind it. 100 years of being footnotes turned into headlines we wrote ourselves. So when we give poetry, we mean memory that refuses to die. We mean history that learned to sing when it wasn't allowed to speak, when it wasn't allowed to read. Black history is not a past tense poetry. Make sure of that. Make sure of that. You make sure of that. And as long as we're breathing, February or not, the poem continues and continues and continues. And continues, I'm gonna lay down my burdens, down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my burdens, down by the riverside and study. Oh, no more. We've been poems. Thank you. Drop. I lost my train of thought. Okay. Everybody good? We're all check. Everybody good? All right. Am I talking too fast? Y'all understand everything I'm saying? We good? All right. I'm gonna continue on. Everybody understanding the story? Yes, that's the most important part. Because we have that history now, and we have that recognition, and we had that little song, we had that little verse to remember now. We got it going in our heads now. We are a living continuation. Not only are we going to lay down our burdens by the riverside, we're going to study war no more. Meaning we ain't gonna worry about that thing that happened yesterday. We ain't gonna worry about that little trouble. We're going to solidify it now. We're gonna live in it now. We're going to mold it and preserve it so you can see it and see it and see it and see it. And this is the tapestry of Black history. I'm woven tight, thread by thread, with the stories of my people. The ones who bled but didn't break. The ones who prayed and fought, and baby, did they fight for the right to just be. You see, my history ain't no single strand, it's tapestry of stitched together from the hands of kings and queens, from mothers and warriors, from artists and dreamers who held the needle and the thread. When the world tried to tear us apart, here we are every loop that tells a tale. We are every knot a struggle, but guess what? Every color and every patch is a victory. You think we just survived? Nah, we thrived and continue to do so in the face of pain. We created beauty. In the shadows, we painted dreams. In the silence, we raised our voices. You see, the Black history that lives in me ain't no flat picture. It's not a simple blank canvas. It's a full masterpiece. It's woven from the pain and the joy of every generation. From the root we come, our Black voices rise, our Black lives, our Black art leaves an everlasting trace. We've been here, threading our legacy. Been here, building something bigger than we could ever imagine. Carry the weight of it all, in the bright and the dark, and the gold and the stars, from art to life, and from life to art. We are a tapestry woven from 1,000 Black and brown hands, a million chained hearts, and a billion broken dreams. I stand here, tied to the past, but not buried, bounded. I stand here, tied to the past, but not bound by it. I am the cloth. Am a quilt of resilience, and you are too. You are fierce and proud. I am the story. You are the testament to the voices unheard. I am the tapestry of Black history, a story of strength in thread of gold. And you best believe everything about me is still weaving. It means I am that living continuation. It means everything about me is ongoing. It means I have to ditch some things. It means everything about me, even though it's rooted in that, sometimes I need to learn how to declare and rally. Now that we are that living continuation, we're not just gonna sit with it. We gotta show and prove. We gotta let them know that our lineage meant some things. We gotta know that our manifesto and our declaration to now turn things around and learn just everything that we need to know. We need to ditch our slave names. And ditching our slave names involves ditching all the chains that had you bound. I come from a long line of Schoolfields. I come from a line of McBrides and Merles and Tulls. I come from a collective stronghold, a family tree. My mother's side is a grand oak, digging deep roots. I was born in the breast of a father whose stretching line takes him to the deep south of Alabama. Can you smell the longleaf pine? We found one another upward with the Yankee and commenced to ditching our slave names. And all of that was a fancy way to say, my mama and daddy met in New York, and that's where I was. You see the magic of words? With the belief that we were branded with the master's identity. We want to immediately wash the new. We are doing a painstaking process that's up to boot. We are a reminder of past ancestors hoping, wishing for freedom. We are pleading for a new heart. We are expecting a new plan. And oftentimes we are being met with pure disdain. No matter how hard we work our fingers, we are met with nothing. When we divorce the celebrity of titles, it's a homecoming. Again, I'm Sista Big. I'm just Sharnell. I am your sister. It becomes like reunion. Everyone from four corners begins to congregate and hug and kiss and show cheekily cheese smiles, and it's love. We are ditching. And there is no greater feeling than being wanted. No greater feeling than being identified as, you know, one of them. I live in a small town of Pocomoke, and I always tell people, you're either related or the other side is white. We have a strong line of families in Pocomoke, but will you join me in the ditching of our last past, in the tossing of negative connotations connected to your nomenclature? That's just a fancy way of will you ditch your name. Everything negative that's surrounding you, will you ditch it? Will you let it free? Ditching our slave names doesn't necessarily mean a slave name. That means shake the shackles up off of you. And can you scrape the slate clean? Can you file the papers with urgency to unhook the slave name? Ditching our slave names. Thank you. That's the manifesto. It's letting you know what I'm here to do. I'm here to ditch all of that dead stuff. I'm here to ditch all of those weeds, all of those negative connotations, whatever I said, nomenclature, something. Like ditching all those negative things, ditching all those things that somebody put that on you. That ain't me. I don't even know what you're talking about. All of those things coming to you. I need to declare, I need to write my manifesto like a crazy person and let you know, never will I ever be again attached to that slave name. Never ever will I allow you to put me back into that box. Never ever will I allow you to say those negative things about me. Never ever will I allow myself to put myself in that box, because we put ourselves in a box too, yeah? And knowing that, we learn what our inheritance is. And when we learn our inheritance, we learn how to celebrate your royalty, how to celebrate where you come from. I'm proud of my little town in Pocomoke. I'm proud to be from there. I like to celebrate. I like to tell people I'm from Pocomoke. Yeah, honey. Yeah, I'm from Pocomoke. I like to celebrate me. I like to celebrate my root. I like to celebrate my home. This piece is called Celebration of Heritage. When you come from a small town such as this one, everybody knows your name. Your family travels before you, regardless of good or bad. The name, the legacy precedes you. We are often judged biased for this reason, improperly mishandled for the misdeeds of prior folks. You know, people always say, oh, your mama's Rini, right? It's hard to say no because we look pretty much identical. So whatever you thought about her, you've already put on top of my head. In that same respect, my lineage is royal. I come from a father who prepared a mansion for me, and I can try out every bed. After all, it is my inheritance in celebratory fashion. The fact that I am his daughter, the fact that you are his daughter, the fact that you are his son, chosen specifically for a time as this one. Don't think you aren't here for a reason. I can revel in the skin I'm in. I win. That's a cocky ending line, right? I win. I know who I am now. I'm flying a little behind it because I'm smelling myself, as my aunt Belle used to say. You smell yourself a little bit, right? You're doing too much, right? And when you begin to elevate, sometimes that altitude, are you sure you're supposed to be there? And when you get unsure, there's always who to remind you. Who did we start with? Who's there to remind you when you get a little too high, where's where you should be, your ancestors, right? This piece is called All Things Considered Elevation. semi-new. I don't think I performed it a lot. But when you get to that altitude and when you get where you are and you begin to lose your mind a little bit, you begin to feel like, oh, should I be here? Should I be this high up on the mountain? Did somebody pick me and forgot they picked me? You know, when I go through a lot of wondering if I should be doing the things I'm doing. When people, I have friends that talk about Sista Big in a way that it's like, y'all, you're doing too much. So I have to kind of slow myself down on that elevation. Sometimes you get that altitude and it gets you all messed up in your head, and that's when you have to rely on those ancestors a little bit.
With this too, so they can see you.
Oh, okay. Hi, Zoom. This piece is called All Things Considered Elevation, and I have a little title with retrospect from Aunt Joanne and Todd. Usually when people leave me to write poetry or I have a random conversation, it always leads to poetry somewhere or other. Sometimes you can say something to me in a line. If you read it and you know what you said, you'll find your line in the poem sometime. Excuse me. So my Aunt Joanne is my dad's sister, and Todd is the mayor of Pocomoke. Both of us these conversations were not held together, obviously. But they came together in my head for this poem. I've been getting swallowed up by loneliness. Engulfed with silence and left wincing, I considered reaching out for a prayer, for a healing, for a peaceful extension, and with wit, quickly learning that my solace travels within, I am the wind. Even though I started lonely, I'm figuring out I am the one that can change my atmosphere. I am the wind. All things considered, if I have to pick a season theme, I've named this elevation. Figuratively speaking, I'm on a new level. My watch bevel too squeaky. Elevated mentally speaking, I dream of a power poignantly with principle at max crucible, and the temperature was past tempered and now cracked. In the usual petroleum basing session, folks ain't know the foundation was an abyss of Vaseline, meaning even when my appearance was disheveled, cunningly I was greasy dripped and get on my level. That was just a very fancy way of saying I was at my point of weakness. I was in that crucible. And they were tightening and tightening and tightening. And I had to figure out where my strength was coming from. I had to figure out where that Vaseline, where that salve was coming from. I was thinking about my climb. While driving yesterday afternoon, the stimulation of pushing forward the matriculation of my current currency. I was on my way to Deep Creek, Maryland. You know what that is? You're going up. So that's where that line came from. On a phone call with my dad's sister, I was advised to ask for blessings. It's mine after all. Instructions while on this journey to smile for my mama and in their absence, whispering the name of ancestors so they could experience this as well, so they could breathe deep as well, so they could rest as well. After all, this is their elevator ride too. Over breakfast, lamenting with friend turned colleague, unsure of the dot I surrounded myself with, unsure of the forward bringing solitude, even more than already amassed, with the assurance that the lead spokes when you're already in the divinity's world is often a path that's narrowed directly towards your souls, meaning it's your walk alone. Meaning even if your soul is not careful, you'll tip right over the ledge, elevation. All things considered. Did y'all get the all things considered part? Looked at it from this part, I looked at it from her part, I looked at it. Sometimes I like to explain it because I'm like, I wonder if people get, you know what I mean? Like you wonder if people get where your mind is going if they and it's also fun to like see, oh, did you get that? Or did you understand that? In that elevation, what happens now that you're elevated, that you figured out, hey, this is where I'm supposed to be? Do you just float? Do you drop a little? Do you figure out how to go higher? What happens after the height? And that's literally what this says during the storyboard, what happens after the height. I was trying to figure out what now that I'm have paired myself correctly with everything, and now I'm on this ascent. What happens now? Do I turn into something I don't know? Or do I just sit there and be comfortable? I've never been comfortable for too long. So I had to do a little internal reflection. I had to do a little perspective silence. Yeah, sometimes you have to sit with yourself. And by yourself, I mean all of those thoughts. Sometimes I sit with myself in the shower. I don't know about y'all. Sometimes I get my best thinking in the shower, yes. That water hits you, it's like, oh, dang, I should. And then I'm like, oh, where's my phone? Then I'm in the shower, I can't write anything out. But exactly. That internal reflection, I come from the church. I was raised in the church as a little kid. So it's always, to me, that internal reflection is my time to talk to God. This piece is called Altar. If you learn anything about me, you'll learn a lot about my family line, because I use a lot of my family in poetry. Like I said, conversations. So this piece is also titled With Retrospect from James Thornton, who was my older cousin. Only right now when prompted by conversation. And as always, it's the family that has blessed y'all. Here I found myself once again bending to humble with wonderment to bring my all to be. I've been catapulted on the balance beam of dreams that ascend with heaving chest. I'm nervous. I've grown to believe there's a mismatch between vet and rookie, and as the latter, no one is chanting. It means they already see me failing. And in that same respect, they're demanding. It means even still they see me failing, they're going to add more pressure and more pressure and more pressure. I began busying myself with the notion that I had to separate prelate from house, meaning I had to be two different people with an unfair fight to battle mirrors, and soon our noses are touching. Meaning there's no difference between me and you or you and you. But followed, I chatted with the most senior of us, that's my cousin, James. And he's enamored with all I accomplished. He's responding subtly, your light is far more brighter when it's held high, be Sharnell. And with that, he said, be big as well. You see, I was contemplating quitting Sista Big and just becoming councilwoman when I learned that they can intertwine together, they can live as one. I was unaware that he prompted a solace in me. The cliffhanger I was feeling on who I needed to become, and the altar I was kneeling had no longer rock on level. It was now at peace. Altar too. All that I was fighting, I just needed to have a simple conversation with someone that knew me and knew me. Not someone that knew just Sista Big and was, oh, this, people are. And then not just people that were like, oh, that's Sharnell, that's, I needed someone that understood the height of the celebrity, and he's definitely one of those people. Sometimes you have to reach out to folks that have been knowing you and knowing you. I'm gonna blow this thing. We have a time.
Maybe like 5-10 more minutes, and then
That's
we'll
perfect.
open it for questions from the
That's
audience here and on Zoom.
oh. Okay, that's perfect. All right. Trying to decide which one I want to do. With that internal reflection, this piece is called My Aunt Prayed for Me. This is one of those oldie but goodies. In that internal reflection, in that talking to my older cousin, and remembering my aunt's conversation, and remembering my conversation with myself, and remembering my conversation with God, and then you had to remember that you're protected by all those things, and you needed to just remember that protection poem. Remember that you are covered by prayers, and remember that your aunt prayed for you a long time ago. Your grandmama prayed for you a long time ago. Your mama, when she held you, prayed for you a long time ago. Your father, when he was trying to lead you how to walk, was praying that you didn't knock your head loose a long time ago. And this piece is titled, My Aunt Prayed for Me. And I start this poem off with a prayer, with a verse, Bible verse. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That's John 1:1. And I usually say that's John 1:1 for you heathens, all right? And then when you pray for someone, you interject love into their lives. You bring them a metered heart, a completed soul. Once you open your mouth and speak, there is a returning home feeling that begins. There is a leap in the foot that catches you before you commence to sitting. There's a urgency to get up and get up. You can stand, but how far can you walk? My aunt prayed for me, for my conscience, with the hope that I return. What instantly made us of the same womb, to the womb doom, to the practice of calling on those who gave us such a talent as this. Somebody prayed for me, had me on their mind, took the time and prayed for me. And I'm so glad they prayed, and I'm so glad they prayed. Receptive, with her crack for lubrication. That means I got power in my prayer. The fire in my voice was like a salivary gland fluid. I'm not new to this, baby. I'm true to this, baby. My pen is real crazy. My aunt prayed for me. And these words I'm stringing together be the comeuppance. The stagnant been dealt with swift. Open the sieve and release the heavens. Amen. Somebody prayed for me, had me on their mind, took the time and prayed for me. And I'm so glad they prayed. And I'm so glad they prayed. I'm so glad they prayed for me. That's that family holding you. That's that family keeping you. And with that, and with knowing all those things, with your declaration, with your altitude, with your inheritance, with your reflection, with all those things, the archival, with the affirmation, you were covered. You had your accountability. You had your recognition. You had your continuation. And now you're at your end. And what do you do at your end? What have I done this whole time but be transparent, but be exactly who I need to be? You can probably see through me all the way out the building at this point, you know so much. This piece is called Big's Transparency. It's our last piece of the night. And it shows ownership. It shows sovereignty. And at the end of my storyboard, you see the little queen down here with her crown. She's reigning supreme. I can't draw, y'all, don't judge me. She is reigning supreme. She knows just who she is. This piece, I actually finished maybe 2 or 3 days ago. I haven't written a poem in a very long time. At the end of January, I had to go into emergency surgery. I was getting ready for work one night. All of a sudden, right here, my chest feeling, I felt like I was having a heart attack or something. And I knew, I thought I had to use the restroom. I thought all these things. And then I finally called the ambulance. The ambulance saying, it looks like your chest is doing something. I get out of the ambulance. Me and my mom get into my car. I drive myself all the way to the hospital. I get there. Maybe about 3 o'clock in the morning, they finally figure out it's my gallbladder. And I have a gallstone stuck in my, the duct. All of that weird stuff. And they tell me I'm turning septic. This is a few weeks ago. Maybe about 4 o'clock in the morning, they tell me I'm going into emergency surgery. I'm trying to let everybody I need to let know. My mom's speaking out. I'm trying to get her a ride home. All this thing is going on. I'm worried about, I got work, I got poetry shows, I got all the stuff I need. I gotta go to Poco High, and I couldn't do anything. I'm the type of person I like to plan ahead. I couldn't plan ahead for that. I couldn't plan ahead for an emergency. And these people were trying to cut into me. They literally, like, right here, literally still hurting. And I had to be transparent at that moment. And as soon as the doctors come in, I'm looking at my friend, I'm looking at my mom, I'm like, no other choice, I gotta do this. And I'm getting to the point, I see you looking at your tongue. And after I came out of this, I'm sitting to myself and I'm like, okay, you sat long enough and not written anything. You sat long enough with this talent. Sure, you're doing poetry shows, you go to open mics, but you're doing recycled material. And I started sitting with myself and I'm like, I need to be transparent. So this is Big's transparency. I know folks been waiting on exactly how I pontificate on recent dealings. Unsure which direction I take, I began seeing the act of writing as a rage bait instead of the usual verses and traits for healings. You know, when folks see you in a certain light, the mind begins to feel as if you must live as such. A troublesome persona, the identity is something magical. Saturated sister became a monolith. No longer the storyteller mistakenly at this game for so long, the destruction and the soaring begin to mimic one another. Authentically align the mind with see-through rhymes and you get swept up in the culture. Usually as a poet, that means your job is done. It means the word has won. That's the tete-a-tete betwixt whom is protected and what becomes neglected, meaning your soul might be in it, but your mind ain't. It means that you like my words, but do you feel my heart? When you return the receiver, it's on you where to fall. You see, there was a stone trying to recoup the listening, looking for any plane. It was tricked in the duck, and now look, the one silky pin spun narrow to the web, and I've become overexposed. I know the bottom of shit. That other off the dome poem, let y'all know what I say. I beat death 3 times, y'all still wanna spar? Tack on another number. I thought the quietness meant forever slumber, y'all was born, of course you heard snoring. You know, with the collapse of assumption, I know folks been waiting on exactly how I pontificate on recent dealings, unsure of which direction I take when your talent is poached for token. Everything ever spoken comes into question. I forgot who was who. You know, when the ball bursts, the wattage stays the same. I had to look all this stuff up. Plainly speaking, sister's capacity would stay big regardless of the depth of the connection. There was a static backing, and that made the phone call and earlier text fearful. You blamed yourself truly for picking up instead of tuning pin for malfunction. Y'all lunching. I began seeing the act of writing as home again. Instead of the usual verses, hang it up, such and such, here comes mother. My keys perfectly aligned to the front door, you jamming it in that joint is sore. From rage bait to residence, from pressure returning, Big's transparency as boundary, reclaiming the throne. I know folks been waiting. Thank you.
I'd like to invite questions from you guys here and in Zoom. Anyone in the Zoom room, if you want to unmute or if you want to type your question in the chat, we have 4 messages.
Oh gosh.
Preach. One person wrote, I love poetry. I'm doing this for class. I'm very familiar with 667.
Okay.
Awesome. All right, anyone? So anyone on Zoom, if you want to unmute or turn your camera on and ask a question, or if there's anyone here that has a question. Or comments, or anything.
Feel free to talk.
You work for Wor-Wic City Council?
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been doing that?
So I was sworn, actually this April will be a year that I was sworn in.
Awesome.
I'll be very honest. It was just really, I was on Facebook one night. That's also where it started. Scrolling, see the city of Pokemon was like, they have special election for District 3. Lemon drop. It's got my mouth. And I'm like, what district do I live on? So Google, what district is blah, 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 my address. It's District 3. Talked to a few people, a few friends, running by this person, that person. I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't you? That's stupid. Do it immediately. So I take my time with it. I pray on it. Would let me know I was supposed to do it. I walked in the city hall. And usually, as a Black woman, usually you walk in there, you see a white person, white person, white person. I walk in, the city clerk, Black woman. I walk in the finance office where you pay your bill, Black woman, Black woman, Black woman, Black woman. And our mayor is a Black man. We were raised together. I had no idea that many Black women worked in City Hall. So every step I was taking was a little confirmation When I saw them black women in there, I'm like, oh, and they were nice. You know, when you go into an office, usually the people are nasty. You don't really want to talk to them, but everybody greeted me nicely. They didn't know me. They had no idea who I was, what I was in there for. And when I turned my paper in, the lady looked so excited. I'm like, okay, I know I'm supposed to do this now. I ran. I was the only special election now. Only person that ran. The night it came up on Facebook, it said, only one person has ran for District 3, blah, 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 blah. I'm scrolling on Facebook and I'm seeing that. And I'm like, oh my God, that's me. I screenshot it immediately. I'm yelling, I'm texting it to the people I told about, like, not a lot of people knew I was going. When you tell too many people things, they'll kill you. Yeah? And I firmly believe that. And I kept that, it was so hard. I tell everything. I got a big mouth. I kept that in for a long time. And when I finally let it loose, oh my goodness, it was like a grave for me. But that's really how I did it. Just on Facebook randomly. Yeah, that's it. Any more questions?
Good.
Yes, ma'am?
What's your writing process look like?
I would like to say it's so like, theatrical and I do this and I do that. I'm a weird person. I will get, okay, so the piece I just finished with, I'll tell you what I did. J. Cole, rap fans, J. Cole just came out with a new album, love this album, I love him. I knew I was gonna write something. And I just kept listening. It was 2 songs I bounced back and forth where he was talking his stuff. Like, he was putting down who he was. And I'm like, okay, this is Big's transparency. Big is the cocky one. You know what I mean? She need to let y'all know. I know you've been waiting. And how I end up on Mother's Home, right? I know you've been waiting. But I listen to a lot of music. Sometimes certain parts of songs will come out to me. It just depends. I could be listening to like, I don't know, like the J. Cole song, and then I'll put shuffle on and I'll hear something in a church song. I listen to everything. You already know that by now. I do a lot of research for stuff. Some of the stuff I look up, I'll Google the heck out of everything, Wikipedia, look it up, because I want to make sure I can talk off the cuff to you about it while I'm doing some poetry. Like I can show off a little bit. I know what I'm talking about. Like, it's a lot of research, a lot of music. Procrastination. On my Monopoly Go, I should be looking up something on my phone. But I research a lot and a lot of music. And I talk to a lot of people. Like I said, conversations prompt a lot of stuff. It could literally anything. I don't even think I really have a true process.
I think they're all a little different. So I was curious about yours.
With that poem, a lot of music, always music. And it doesn't matter what kind of music it is. And sometimes it's not even the words. Sometimes it's the melody of the song. Sometimes I hear in the song. I always tell people sometimes I can see the colors the music is playing. And that ignites something in me. What's the call? What's the word?
Is it a fantasia?
I don't know.
I don't remember what that.
I can't remember
There's a
what the
word for
word
it.
is. Something, huh?
I got you.
She got all that. I like you. Did I have anyone? I don't think.
There's a couple of comments, just remind me of Gwendolyn Brooks, you have a gift.
Oh, that's powerful.
Your poetry is wonderful.
Thank you.
I've enjoyed the readings. Were powerful and encouraging. You brought amazing charisma with you.
Oh, that's exciting me.
My grandmother was from Pocomoke 4th and Bonneville.
Okay, Bonnie.
Thank you for sharing. Your words are phenomenal. How much does your heritage play a role in your writing? There we go. That's
Nice. I think 100%. There's not a poem I cannot relate to a family member or something I went through as a child or something to that nature. Shameless plug, my first book, Live Again to Rebirth. I use something from every family member in a poem. The second book, When April Doesn't Bloom, is about the growth of a flower. What happens when the flower of you doesn't grow? What happens with the seed of you doesn't bloom? Do you lay down and die, or do you repot the soil? Do you come through with new water? And in those things, I had to remember what I was taught as a kid. My Aunt Belle used to take me out into her garden. I've always had a brown thumb, not just the skin color. And I never could do anything, but she was growing all types of stuff, so I could pick the weeds. So I learned about weed picking and all those things. And then that in turn made me research this and research that. When I wrote that yellow book, When April Doesn't Bloom, I tried to grow a flower. It did not work out. But my mom, in turn, grew hers beautifully. But what I could do was write a book. You feel me? Like I could grow that flower. I could grow that flower in me. And all of those things, like my mom growing a flower with me, that's in the book. Family is everything to me. I was raised by aunties and, this person and that person. So all of those people, I always say I'm an amalgamation of all of those ladies, all those guys, all those stuff I was taught. Heritage is 100% my foundation. It's everything to me. Anything else?
I'm not gonna be successful with the word because I don't have the word.
It's all this cool. It's a word, though.
Someone put it in the chat.
Someone did.
Someone did.
From
Look, I'll also look it up myself.
From a Deja or something right there.
Yeah.
Yup. Look at me. Yup. That's it.
Specific,
Y'all got me. A lot of times I can close my eyes. I know with writing both of those books that I always saw color. And it just depends on the music. Sometimes I'll go see red, sometimes I'll see light blues and stuff like that. It just fuels me almost. Like my writing will change with the color, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So does anybody feel like they can go home and write a poem now? Oh, y'all got quiet. The quietest y'all have been all night.
I don't know about writing poem.
No, I always told you a poem is literally, it could be a one line. It could be one line. And I always, it does not have to rhyme. And that was not done on purpose. It doesn't, I never have rhyming stuff in poems unless it's planned. Or I'm writing to a punchline. That's the only time I rhyme in poems. I always have been called a storyteller. I want to tell stories, and that I ain't got a rhyme in that. Poetry is literally how you feel. It's your heart. It's your heartbeat. It's your movement. It's your pattern. It's whatever you want it to be. You want it to be a circle, let it be a circle. My poetry changes every time I do it. I don't perform not one poem the same. I forgot. In the middle of doing one of those poems, I forgot a line. You never know. I was supposed to sing a song throughout. I forgot the song part, everything. It's okay. It's not supposed to be the same, It's what you want it to be.
Your poetry allows the world to hear your soul speak. That's what I gathered from your poems tonight.
Then I'll take it. That sounded nice. I'm gonna quote that on my next book.
For sure.
Wor-Wic professor says. Accreditation now, baby. But I'm gonna be one of them people. I got books for sale, little art pieces, and I have business cards and things over there. Anybody wants to take a gander?
Where else can people hear you?
Yes, ma'am. I host a local open mic. And look, I lost my viewers. You got my back. Pocomoke City, I host a local open mic at the public library. That was a tongue twister out of all the things I said tonight. Monthly, my next one is February 20th. I'm hosting for the Sturgis One Room Schoolhouse for Black History Month. My next one is March something, maybe 20th or so. But if I'm on Facebook, if you want to follow me, I do have a fan page on Facebook. My personal page, I always post what I'm doing, and where I'm at. So, I was about to say, sometimes I'm at Susan hosts an open mic as well.
There's a few of them around town.
I was about to say she hosts an open mic as well at
Pemberton Coffee House the first Thursday.
And it's a lot of open mics here in Salisbury. Sometimes fall on the same day, but we try to in turn go to each other's stuff sometimes to support.
There's one on the third Thursday of every month, I think it is, at the Brick Room.
And that's hosted by Amber Green.
Usually every other Thursday that isn't one of those happening, there's one at McVito's above Roadies.
Yeah, everyone. Any more questions about the poetry or anything? No, I hope y'all enjoyed yourselves. I hope I did a good job. I hope I at least turned you into a little fan of poetry. Maybe you'll attempt one day. I always tell people the first time I ever wrote a poem, I was pissed off. I was mad. I was a kid. And I was mad. And I just wrote my feelings. That's literally what poetry is. I just wrote my feelings. And in doing this kind of project here, I remembered why I started writing. I definitely had gotten far away from it. Just honestly speaking. I kind of remembered with this, and it made me want to kind of write more. I had been mostly performing and teaching it. And I say teaching because, yeah. But definitely want to start writing more. So I thank y'all for having me. Hope you enjoyed yourselves. And anybody want to talk? I'm here for seconds, I guess.
Thank you all for coming. So it's on the Zoom crowd, I shared the link in the chat, and for you guys here, there is a QR code if you could complete the survey. Our next Echoes and Visions event will be on Tuesday, the 24th of February. And we have New York Times bestselling historical novelist Steve Barry. He's written about everything from historical novels from the Freemasons, from the Amber Room, and Lincoln assassination. And his most recent one that's actually coming out this month is about the Codex Gigas, which is this enormous real Bible that has a huge picture of the devil in it. So quite interesting. He's up next for us. And then on March 30th, we'll have Spanish Civil War novelist Julian Zabal Beascoa. And then on Wednesday, April 8th, we have Pulitzer Prize nominated poet Dorian Lux. So that's our schedule for this semester.
Not Sista Big saying little.
Yeah, thanks. He just named those people. Don't.